Welcome to the ZSquared podcast. I'm Zach Britton. I'm sitting here with Zach Howard.
Hello.
This is kind of a topical show. This is our first episode, so ask people for questions, and we're gonna be answering some questions. So we'll see how that goes. Bear with us.
Let's do it. Let's get dirty.
All right.
You want me to go first here?
Yeah, you go first, Zach.
Okay. I'm gonna start with some of the more the simpler questions, and then go into the broader scope questions, because there's some that are more philosophy based, and that get more abstract and nebulous. So
let's do it.
First one is Mark Line Cancino. His first question is, at what point did you decide to add all this grunge/detail particles to your work? Was it always like that? Did you ever have your work where you thought the lines were so plain and thought, let me add all this extra stuff, exclamation point. Well, first, I know exactly the moment my style changed to what you see now for the most part. But it does change every project. However, it's usually pretty close.
Yeah.
But there was a moment, I guess it wasn't just a single moment that turned me, but there was one moment where it all came together, and that's what I'll talk about.
Okay.
I believe it was page 18 or page 19 of Wild Blue Yonder, the first issue, one of those two. I was drawing the undercarriage of Cola's aircraft.
Okay.
And I was really, I wasn't happy with how I was solving my transitions between blacks to whites.
Okay.
In all my work, I've always been obsessed with that transition.
Yeah.
And I've never quite been happy with it. So I try to more, I don't even know how to describe it. And I apologize, fans. I don't know a fuck ton of these technical terms. I'm self-taught, and I don't even care to learn them. So please don't even write in. So anyways, I was drawing Cole's aircraft, and I needed a strong lighting source to frame it. But because it's round, I'm always having trouble, or ovals and things like that.
Yeah.
How to consistently transition in shapes.
Okay.
So I started using, instead of, I used to be obsessed with clean lines. If you look at my old shit, it's
definitely
it looks like it was cut with razor blades.
Yeah.
So I switched, and I just grabbed an old shitty pen, and I started rendering, like old school rendering, like you would with a pencil, but I do it with a pen. And so what ended up happening were these scritchy details where I was able to naturally transition between black and white. And then when you learn these techniques, people, the greatest thing about learning these new tools is learning how to nuance them and make them your own.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking about, well, what would have the sharp hatch marks, that simulate grays and transitions versus the messy ones. Mm-hmm. So now that I started becoming texture obsessed.
Yeah.
And so I use scritchy lines for a lot of different shapes, from metal to leather jackets to faces to things like that.
Yeah.
And within that, I've learned how to nuance it for the shape. Is it flesh? Well, that's got to look different than the side of Cola's aircraft looks versus a leather jacket versus fur or hair or things like that. And so I started within the same texture. It's doing the exact same effect. I've learned how to express it in many different ways.
Okay.
And then, of course, I layer, anybody who's seen my crap in person or seen me draw, I layer stuff like a painter.
Yeah, you paint with ink.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so then there's splatter, and then reapplying black lines over white splatter, or vice versa. So it ends up, a lot of that stuff happens, but that's a little tougher to explain because it's a more organic process. And
not everything gets that treatment, but some things do.
Yeah,
for sure.
But as far as detail goes, these grungy detail particles to my work, my stuff always had a solid foundational shapes. I understood shapes very well. Yeah. But it's the paint job on them I was never happy with. And I never wanted to become a one trick pony, which a lot of people do. They just pull out this one brush and this is how I draw grays.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I like to use the paper mixed with the tools. You know, as you've seen, I do about 4 or 5 different types of paper.
Yeah,
and each one gives me a different effect with each tool.
Yeah,
you know. So
and I think something kind of important about that is it's kind of the difference between like following a recipe and like cooking.
There you go.
Because like if you're a chef, you know the ingredients, you know the chemistry behind the,
and you know where to nuance them too.
Exactly.
Well, I like garlic more than the asshole that wrote this recipe, so I'm going to add more garlic.
Yeah.
You know, and you know the threshold and what you're cooking, how much it can take.
Yeah. So some people follow that recipe, like you said, that cookie cutter kind of, this is how I shade things.
Yeah.
And other people like yourself and, you know, other more artists, I guess would say, they like being in that moment, making that decision in that.
It's a far more
organic.
They're way more organic from beginning to end. Where I'm extraordinarily structured in moments and anal, and other times I'm fucking Bob Ross painting happy trees. But only in certain sections. It's like a switch I flip.
Yeah.
And you know, and so I can have clean, I can have dirty, and they help balance each other. If I'm dirty all the time, to me it just looks like gray on a page. Mm-hmm. If it's clean all the time, it looks like an asshole computer drew it.
Yeah.
So somewhere in between, a mix of those, and finding the nebulous in between those two. Like if it was a pendulum, you got to find where it swings. If super clean on one side swings to super dirty on the other side, you got to find what makes you the best artist / storyteller within that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just from trying stuff. Mm-hmm. And just because you like one thing doesn't mean you have to be married to it. You can like 30 things and find your own truth and style on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And sorry, my big ass is moving in the chair, and I'm sure people can hear that. Sorry about that, humans. Next one. Hey, let's hear one of your questions.
All right, so this one comes from Manny. It is, what is your favorite creative memory? And I kind of thought about this question, and I'd have to say that, like, when I was in high school, I took an acrylic painting class.
Yeah.
And we kind of did, you know, anything and everything for like beginner acrylic painting and stuff like that. And
did you do your little color thing, squares? And
did a color wheel and did like all this, you know. Yeah, exactly. Learning how to paint. And there was this last assignment that we had that like basically was kind of like a collage thing. We were supposed to use like gloss medium to like put images on the canvas while mixing colors and stuff, and kind of pulling and pushing and pulling those kind of images in a kind of collage format. And I set up my canvas by taking just colors. I loaded my palette up and then just started painting. And it was really abstract and like I was just for the first time in my life as a creator, I wasn't worried about what I was creating. I was just creating.
You're in the moment.
I was in the moment, yeah. And it's just like, I still like that painting today, even though, you know, it's not like anything what I can do now, but it was just so much fun to just sit there and create. And I had that a lot in college. And I'm sure there are earlier memories, but I couldn't really think of anything.
Well, that leads to an interesting kind of personally subjective question for any aspect of art, but especially, do you think you have such fond memories of that, more the experience rather than the result?
Yeah, I think so.
Was the journey the memory, not the final piece of artwork? The final piece of artwork just reminds you of the journey. Yeah,
exactly. I think it was the journey, and it was just that I was... and I did mine based on like comic books and stuff. So I got like cut out old comics that I had and just like pasted them together and pulled those colors out onto the canvas and stuff. And it was that journey. And I feel like as an artist, I'm constantly kind of obsessed with the end result. Yeah. And I would rather be obsessed with the journey of getting there and still having that end result, but enjoying the process more.
Yeah, you're hanging out with the wrong dumbass.
You got the same problem. You just like the end result.
The journey is, it's like I'm in fucking World War II saving the world. Yeah. And I have that pressure on my shoulders. Yeah. But I'm not happy until I see it on the shelves.
Yeah.
You know, and to be honest, for most of my career, most of the books come out, there's been no joy from the book being on the shelf.
Yeah.
So, which also steered my career. But, I think it's important to focus on the journey Now, the end result does matter.
Yes, it
for
does.
those
I
that
agree.
are, you know,
'Cause you'll never get
Picasso
anything
said,
done.
draw like a child, or whatever stupid thing you're using to sate your ego to not grow
Yeah.
as a person. You got to be careful, those axioms. But
Yeah, I agree. Because it's one of those things where it's like you have to have an end result at some point. But if you're
Correct.
not enjoying the journey, why are you an artist? And I think that like I learned that my senior year too of college when I took wheel throwing, because I literally for 2 weeks I couldn't even throw a cylinder. I
Yeah.
was just learning to center the clay, you know, and that kind of taught me that like sometimes it's just about centering the clay, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just about it's putting the mark down on the page and just enjoying that moment of I'm creating this thing. And I think that it's important to, but at the end of the day, I had a bunch of cool ceramic pieces at the
Yeah.
end of the semester, you know, but that definitely helped me learn to enjoy the journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, laser focus, stop to smell the roses.
Exactly.
Or at least notice that there's
Yeah.
roses
Yeah.
along the way.
You have another question?
I do. I'm jumping around. My face just got close to the mic. Sorry for those listening with headphones. I'm already a big, giant, loud asshole. I don't need it amplified. So, let's see. Those are the nebulous ones. Okay, here's a good one from a longtime fan, Joe Mulvey. What's your single greatest frustration making comics, and how do you get over it? Mine is...
Great question.
yeah, absolutely, because every person... I mean, again, this is a personal journey, so
Yeah.
anybody could add to this question and amplify it for everyone. Now I'm using the word amplify. Jesus Christ. Okay, Joe. Greatest frustration. For me, I'd say most people would say isolation. And though the isolation, I think I'm more isolated than your average person, but
Yeah.
it doesn't bug me as much, I think, as most people.
Yeah.
Because I grew up alone. So it's just I'm always up in my own head. Anyhow, I'd say the average person is the isolation, just the loneliness.
Definitely.
However, to keep it while just making the comic, because that's an individual thing, how you handle that. And
Yeah.
it's up to you to,
Absolutely,
level your mind so you can work. But the greatest frustration, good, you made it personal. What's my single greatest frustration? Working with people that aren't as passionate as me.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart into pieces. Every fucking project, every person I meet. Not every person. You do meet the gems, and that's why I try to, tether myself to them. But they're few and far between. They're diamonds in the rough. But it is important when you find a diamond in the rough to never lose it.
Yeah, definitely.
But the naysayers, it's just, now again, some people are going to say the time it takes to draw a comic book, or this or that, or it makes my wife fat. I don't know. People are going to have different reasons. However, is just working with people that aren't truly dedicated to the craft. They're just cashing paychecks, and they will say they're dedicated. They will say they're artists. They will say a bunch of fucking things that reinforce their egos, but it's all masking entropy. I want to make money. I want to get fame as fast as possible with as little amount of work put into it, as little amount of thought put into it. And this goes from stem to stern in comic books.
Definitely.
And usually on a project, it's either I was the one that truly cared about making a great project, or it's just like me and one other person. And when there's 5 or 6 people involved and there's a big giant company steering the ship, it's hard to have a cohesive, well thought out execution of literature, on both, words on pictures, comic books. There's people that don't care. And I've seen that at all levels, by the way, from the very fucking top down to, the asshole stapling books together at a con.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely, it's a hard balance to strike being a commercial artist making money off your art, because you don't, part of that balance is knowing that it's hard to be that commercial. It's hard to say, okay, this is what I am doing for a living and making money off of it, and striking that balance between being an artist and being like a successful artist, I guess you could say, making money off your art.
There you go.
Like,
I was waiting for the...
Because it's like...
Because what's a successful artist? Van Gogh was pretty fucking successful.
Yeah, and he was poor, you know? And
he sold one painting to his brother.
Yeah, seriously. And his brother didn't like his paintings.
No.
But Leonardo da Vinci, like I'm kind of thinking of this, like Leonardo da Vinci was famous for not finishing paintings or taking
He's
a
notorious.
long time on paintings. And I think for him, part of it was just he liked visually communicating his ideas. I mean, look at his sketchbooks. If you want to look at some Da Vinci work, look at his sketchbooks.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
That's all you should look at, to be honest.
And so, you know, for him, that was kind of a part of it, was he didn't really care so much about the making money, but he had to, because we got to live. I mean,
sadly.
You know, sadly. But we trade in precious metals, but or paper in our case. But anyways,
Make-believe money at this point.
Monopoly money. But anyways, I just think that it's hard to find that balance of like being monetizing your art and still feeling like an artist.
I think that's everybody's struggle,
Yeah.
and not many people succeed at it, and that's why most people quit.
Yeah,
You know,
because it's hard.
and I've seen a lot of people take the commercial route just for security reasons, either emotionally, financially, families that need health insurance, things like that. There's a lot of variables that steer this course of an artist's career.
Yeah.
And, you know, even in a commercial field like comic books, it's fine arts mixed with, you know, commercial art.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I've been accused many times. You know, I had my DC editor early on. I forget what I was drawing, either Batman or Nightwing. He just said, you know, this is commercial art, because I just live and die on every page. You got to move on and trust your skill. And I've never forgotten that, but I also don't completely agree with it.
Yeah.
However, in what he was saying at that moment, he was 100% correct. Because it was just commercial art. But they weren't doing anything. They're just protecting a brand, or, you know, just retreading a tire, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the journey. I had to leave the commercial industry for the most part, and I just occasionally dip my toes in, you know, like the new Venom ones. I've oddly enjoyed those. Yeah. But I still live and die in them, because I'm like, great, now X amount of people. It's easy when I do my own shit, because nobody's reading it. So all 7 people that read my stuff, not a lot of pressure. But when you're drawing Spider-Man in some new costume, you know, and you know X amount of people are going to see this, I can see where the commercial side over it starts taking over. Yeah. Because when I'm doing a cover for Wild Blue Yonder, I don't even listen to my co-creators. Yeah. I do. But I mean, I'm just saying, ultimately I do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah.
There's a lot more freedom in it.
Now, I trust myself in making those decisions. I'm not going to take the easy path. I mean, shit, you can see what I'm doing right now on my drawing table. But I don't care how hard the road is, but I'd rather take my road, because I know the quality and integrity of me as an artist, and what I will bring to the integrity of the project then overall. And so it's weird. I have different frustrations for different parts of my career, whether commercial or fine art, and I struggle with both. I mean, substantially. And I don't have any answers for that. I'm just listening to Zach. He's the sage on this one, because I don't know shit when it comes to that. So,
no, I just think it's kind of interesting, and that's the kind of journey that I've had to take with my art after graduating college, is trying to find that balance of like, this is what I want to do, and this is what will get me hired somewhere or get me jobs, because I mean, nobody wants to learn, nobody goes out to become an artist to say, I'm going to learn some perspective, and I'm going to learn how to draw a face and anatomically correct. Yeah. And like, that's not why they start, you know, but that's what you need to be, in my mind, a professional artist. You need that structure. You need to understand those rules, discipline is a big one, because in order to draw a face, you have to draw hundreds of faces to draw one from your just out of your imagination. And even that, it's good to use photo reference and stuff still, because
You
you're gonna
always
forget
shake
stuff.
it up.
Yeah.
Well, one thing you also do, and you'll see this with monthly artists, and you monthly artists, I'm not bashing you, I'm just saying the differences. I can't do what you guys do anyway, so you kick my ass, so relax. They start drawing ears one way.
Yeah.
They start drawing noses one way. They start drawing, these are the 3 types of bodies I draw on people. They have to reduce the amount of variables.
Yeah.
And when doing that, you have less discovery, as an artist. But you can also get a monthly done.
Yeah.
And there's very few people that can remain creative, truly creative and expressive, and still do a monthly.
Yeah.
Ryan Otley comes to my mind.
Yeah, definitely for me, because he just, looking at his work, that's why I think I was gravitated towards his art so quickly, was just because when I first read Invincible, I was just like, all these different people, they felt kind of real and more tangible, because there was so much different design and the different characters.
The aliens they weren't just variations of some other shit they drew.
It was something completely original. It's like these dudes are little Cyclops aliens, and like they're orange, and these guys are little like squid starfish things.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah,
I have an original of that somewhere, pencils that I started inking. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I tricked Ryan into giving me one of his pieces of artwork.
Awesome. No, it's a lot of fun, and he does a really good job doing monthly. He's an alien or an animal. I don't know. I mean, he's fast. So.
Well, I just a quick. I'm gonna piggyback on that just real quick. What attracted me to Ryan was like when I first joined DA. An old friend finally convinced me to get online and have a social presence.
Yeah.
DeviantArt. The first artist I found that I didn't know that I really liked was Ryan. Mm-hmm. I think he had commented on my first piece I put on there, some whatever.
Yeah.
Like some Spider-Man crap. I tried to lead strong. I went and looked at his stuff, and his structure is what drew me to his work first.
Yeah.
And now, days, I'm still amazed by his consistent structures. And what I mean by that, just any object construction, humans, buildings, it's brilliant. And it's consistent, which is rare. But now his creativity, just finding ideas through like his sketching and things like that, from him on an airplane to drawing a monster squirting blood out of its eyes, and it's pretty good stuff. But this isn't the Ryan Otley dick sucking hour, so
No.
We should probably move on. All apologies, Ryan, if for some reason you mistakenly listen to this.
So I've got a question.
Go.
This is from Alex Tuck. Do you pull inspiration from other regional art styles? So like Asian artists or like
Bengali artists.
Yeah, any kind of artist like that. To me, I would definitely say like Miyazaki. Zach and I were just talking about that earlier today. I mean, if you're an artist and you haven't seen a Miyazaki film, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But
you better been in prison or some shit. Turkish prison.
I love old Japanese samurai prints. I love a lot of that kind of stuff, that style. I feel like animation and from Japan is so kinetic, and it's how they animate.
Kinetic's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, because it's just, and they actually do it with less frames than American animation or original American animation, and that's what makes it so kinetic. It's because they like show the force by like leaving out a part. I read a whole thing on it. It's really cool and interesting. But I like there are some manga artists that I like. Otomo,
the best ever.
Yeah, Akira, amazing stuff. And I mean, anything in art history, I guess, like any European artist, like learning art history, and specifically when I went to Europe and traveled all around and got to go to all those museums and see those pieces in person and basically walk through art history. And you really draw inspiration from things like, even like when I took away stuff from abstract expressionism to design panels where all they're looking at is lines and squares and they're creating these beautiful pieces.
Yeah.
And that's in a comic book. I mean, that's what happens. Even if like I'm drawing a perspective piece, I want to make those tiers of the building look interesting just as is, So I draw inspiration from great art, any great art, I guess, like anything from a great idea to something that's just beautifully painted, and that can be from anywhere, I guess. So what do you draw inspiration from?
Well, it's back in the day, you're very limited.
Yeah.
Old man Howard here didn't have the internet, so you found cool books, which were portals. To understanding and exposure to new ideas, ways of thinking, places, thought, art, all things like that. Nowadays with the internet, if you only have one or two influences in your life, I'm embarrassed to know you.
I mean,
if you aren't looking at Russian artists, Chinese artists, Peruvian artist, Italian artist, South American artists. I was just in Chile, and they have a lot of unique flavors. Very, and it's not tied to traditional American comic books. So though some do go that direction, it's actually very few. And so I really enjoyed the books down there because they're just kind of doing their own thing, which I think that's what art is, and that's what comics should be. People doing your own thing. Everything. Of course, Otomo is probably my personal hero in Japan as far as illustrating, but storytelling, Miyazaki is off the charts. I mean, that's why I did Wild Blue Yonder 100%, was being a Miyazaki fan. And when Mike brought me a coming of age story of a young girl, fuck yeah.
Let's do it.
So I'd never done one of those. So, and she isn't just in a bathing suit running around kicking people.
She's a person.
Oh, what? You can't have that in a comic book.
I just think, to me, like when I open up Google, I have it set to where it opens up ArtStation, and I just get to look at
refreshes the screen. It's a whole new thing.
It's a whole new thing, and it's a collage of art. And I mean, I look at 3D artists. I save 3D art stuff.
Good.
And I save, anything and everything that is just. I try to draw inspiration from anything, any region. I just started watching on Netflix Full Metal Alchemist, and that's a really fun show, and it's really cool.
Is that the one with like the robot or something? And, it's like a dude just running around with a cape and a robot or something.
Well, he has like
by the way, I'm leaving comic books to do blurbs on video cases, because you would buy that right away.
Yeah, exactly. This guy is a cape and a robot,
and they're running around.
Cape and robot is what this is. No, but it's kind of like a futuristic story where they can like manipulate matter essentially, and it's just really cool. It's a really interesting story about two brothers, and I hadn't even, it wasn't even on my radar, and I watched like top 10 anime series or something on YouTube or whatever, and it was like number one, and I was like, well, maybe I should check it out. It looks cool. So, and it's really cool. And
that's what I do on Pornhub.
Yep, just I gotta search for the top 10. Where's the top 10?
I only need the best porn.
The best porn.
Do not waste my time, sir.
Exactly. But it's I even speaking of inspiration, you and I were talking about earlier today, just living life and letting life inspire you, and going and seeing things you've never seen before. Like you just went to Chile, and like when I went to Europe, I think it fueled my art for like a year and a half. I was telling you, and it's like, because it jostles the mind, and you get to like inspiration.
You literally build new neurons.
Yeah, you build new neurons. You breathe it in. You take like, you just take it in, and I think that's vastly important for artists. Like, don't stay in the same habits constantly, because you're not gonna come up with something new if you haven't even seen anything new for 20 years.
I always say, don't get comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good.
You don't grow
good
when
way
you're
to put it.
comfortable.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Being comfortable is an entropic state.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this is just talking purely as an artist, not as a person. You got to find some comfortable releases in your life.
Yeah.
But in your art, if you look back, I would get upset if my stuff looked the same from one book to the next.
Yeah.
Now I have to have a cohesive style to continue the narrative without jarring people.
Yeah.
But even with Wild Blue, look at first issue to the last issue. Shit, look at issue 5, probably the best book I've ever drawn.
Yeah. Speed was just like, I know you're focusing on speed
very much so
when you're drawing, but I mean, it just, you can see the advancement of your kind of conception or whatever on the page. And it's really interesting because when you hit issue 5 and you read it all the way through,
it all came together.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Mike and I knew it when we finished too.
Yeah, it's explosive. Kinetic. All the good words.
If I could outdo that every issue, it wouldn't matter that I don't draw X-Men.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
But it's hard maintaining that.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta.
You can't sprint 100% of the
there
time.
You go. There you go. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like with Buck, not every page is gonna be that ridiculous, man. And listeners, you can, by the time you hear this, that page will probably be on the internet, and you'll understand what I'm saying. But it's don't do one thing all the time, you know. So
it's like if your entire life you picked up a 15-pound dumbbells and lifted those your entire life, you'd never get stronger because your muscles would eventually get used to it. You get stronger to a point.
Yeah.
They get used to it, and then you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're not, jostling their habits, essentially.
Yeah, you're not shocking your system.
You're not shocking your system, yeah. That's what I was looking for. Jostling. I don't know.
I like jostle. Come, let us jostle our bodies.
Exactly.
That's how I'm going to approach people to work out with me now. Would you like to jostle?
That'd be perfect. That's how I'm going to do it, too. 24-hour fitness. I'm just going to waltz in and come, let's jostle our bodies.
Everyone, let's jostle.
Shall be grand.
Come. So,
you got another
cross that
for
fucker off. We're gonna go back to Mark Line Cancino. What increases your productivity? Working at night, white zombie music, eating while working. Well, I'll start backwards here. I never eat while I work.
Yeah.
I can't concentrate. I do one thing at a time.
Yeah,
it's just what I do.
Yeah.
I can have something to drink and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's just a cup of coffee, a fucking light, a pencil and paper.
Yeah.
For me, I stop and eat, and I will either watch something on TV or while I eat, or read something online. But anyways, so no eating, but I don't care what people do. You could have a Snickers bars hanging out of your fucking mouth if you're kicking ass. If you're kicking ass, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
White zombie music. Yeah, all you suckers. I listen to that band. Well, you guys were zygotes. So yes, Los Exorcisto is very important to start the day. I would say start with Welcome to Planet Motherfucker and then end with Starface, Eat 'em Alive.
Yeah.
Every fucking day.
Regimen.
While you're doing your 15-pound dumbbell curls, like Zach said to do.
Exactly. Just keep doing that. That'll make it strong.
And then the first two, what increases your productivity working at night? The answer is yes. I am a fucking night owl, as you well know. But I also don't sleep, so I'm usually up in the morning too. So, however, I would say around 10 at night is when I start drawing my best, and it probably lasts till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I am on fucking fire between those 4 hours usually. If I could somehow recreate that at 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, I'd be much happier. 9 to whenever the fuck.
Yeah.
Or I could do 2 sessions, where they're that big, but I end up drawing 12 hours a day, and I would say 2/3 of that is frustration and trying to find that flow state. And then usually around 10 o'clock, it all comes together. And what I think is, I like when the world's quiet. I can hear what I need myself better.
Yeah.
And at night, no one's calling me. I'm not getting email messages. I'm not fucking jumping on Facebook. Dude, I better answer these questions or a fan may hate me. None of that shit's going through my head. I'm literally, my wife's in bed. Dogs have farted and gone to sleep.
Yeah.
I can just draw. I can be an artist, and there's nothing. It's just me in the world. It's just me versus the fucking page.
Yeah.
Where the entire day, it's never like that. So, Mark, I understand there's limitations in people's lives that they can't always draw at night. But me personally, it's the witching hour. It's where the magic happens.
Yeah. I found that how I become most productive is just like setting out habits, things that I do regularly. So if I wake up, whenever I wake up, I eat breakfast or whatever that means. Maybe it's lunch for the day, but and I have coffee and I sit down, and when I do a warm up and I do just something on my computer that I don't expect anything out of, like for 30 minutes I set a timer, then I can go into something and it's like I've entered that flow state.
Yeah.
So it's like going on a walk. Sometimes I'll go on a walk
Clear you.
and it'll clear my head. And because sometimes when I come to a painting or a drawing or whatever and I'm just supposed to do that, then I have all these expectations already set up, and it's really hard for me to just start drawing. And
Someone's
it's like,
standing on your shoulders. Now relax.
Exactly.
I can't relax.
And especially like when I have like big pieces. I did this big like triptych perspective piece, and like that took me forever just because of that reason. Because it like I was so nervous about sitting down and fucking up.
Turned out fucking good though, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
So
you should have a smile on your face about that one.
it was awesome, and he was very happy with it.
Good.
But yeah, I just think whatever habits work for you. I mean, and it's different for every person. I think that's what art is kind of about. Is it's unique to you. Every person draws differently.
It's not unique. It's unique to you, but I think the way people should think about it, as I've told you a lot, artwork is your language.
Yeah.
Now, for a language to work, people need to understand it.
Yeah, it has to have
So
rules.
you can't just all these assholes that say, this is just how I do things. Well, if I just made noises with my mouth and grunt, maybe I could get a point across, like, point at something, but we're not really communicating.
Yeah.
You need to create a language that is yours.
Yeah.
That everybody can understand, like Mike Mignola did.
Yep.
It's stripped down, when he took that stripped down style and used design and lighting and shapes to tell his story. And that's his voice.
Exactly.
That is only his voice. People can learn that voice and replicate it, but only he can create it.
Yeah. And I think that it's like
that's an artist, by the way.
Yeah.
To me, that's the definition of an artist, when only you can speak that language and everybody can understand it and everybody can enjoy it. Music's the same way.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at like when people say like Picasso, for instance, isn't a good artist. Did you ever see a painting when he was 18 years old?
Just tell that fucker to lose your number and get walking.
Seriously. But I mean, if you look at, you have to understand that this person was trained classically and then he broke the rules. Then he started to create his own language that everyone could understand and live in, and using shape and looking at African art for inspiration, and that's how he found his voice.
He's one of the ones leading the charge of breaking things down into shapes and then taking those shapes, those simple shapes, and applying them in a way that is his own voice, but you still can understand it. His paintings that have war themes and things like that. Definitely. Still eyeballs on the same side of the head, but there's terror and sadness that you see in them. So again, it's what your voice is doesn't matter, but finding your pure original artistic voice is what matters. Yeah. It doesn't matter what that end result is. If it's good and attractive to people will find it. It's that's why I tell people, work on yourself, not on what other people want. Yeah. Because if you do what you think is popular or something like that, you're just chasing the dragon.
Absolutely.
You're always behind.
Yeah.
You want to be the tip of the spear, and the only way to be the tip of the spear is do something nobody else has done.
Do what you only you can do. Do what only you can do.
There you go.
So I've got a question from Kim. What was your first What was the first medium you used? How did you transition to what you use now? I would probably say, like, as any child, my first medium was probably crayons. You know, poop.
Crayons.
I'm sure my parents have some horror stories about me spreading poop somewhere. So.
I like to think I was a shit artist.
Yeah. No, I mean crayons when I was a little kid. I think honestly, Legos were a big one for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really think of those as like a medium for art, but like I was creating things. Yeah. I was building things. I was telling stories in my own head and
did I ever
these
tell you
characters.
Why I hate Legos?
No.
So
I gotta hear this story.
I do agree with you though. Legos were a big part of my childhood too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Loop, my old friend who will probably be listening to this at some point. I went over to his house and it was just like 4 boys at the house. Yeah, they had like a fucking cargo crate of like generic Legos and we used to build superstructures. But anyhow, anybody who's as old as the hills like myself will remember in the, I believe it was the early 80s or mid 80s. I don't know, maybe 87, 86, I don't know. I lived in Germany, so we didn't see commercials or anything, so I had no clue this was going on.
Yeah.
But eventually I moved back to America. And
land of the free.
And everybody immediately started calling me Zach the Lego Maniac. Immediately.
Why?
Immediately. Well, I came to find out by watching, television stateside where you get commercials. Lego thought it was a good idea to have blonde kid with like Tom Cruise haircut, but he's blonde. Jean jacket, jean pants, shirt tucked in, of course, which is always a classy look.
Yeah.
And he had these shades, and he was the cool Lego kid, like knew all the Lego secrets, I don't know. Fucking, he was the son of King Lego. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But he just walked around being cool, and here I was, this blonde-haired kid, new, and back in the day, no one was named Zach.
Yeah. I
knew a dog. That was the only other entity I knew named Zach. And so, Zach the Lego Maniac, I had a unique name, so people would you just say, hi, my name is Zach, and they go, Zach the Lego Maniac. And then I'd be walking around, and people go, Zach, he's a Lego Maniac. And when you're in the 6th grade, shit
terrorized
me to the point where even today, someone that's old as me will say Zach the Lego Maniac.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why it still irks me. It's meaningless, but since, I don't know.
You're in 6th grade and that made it.
I was always the new kid.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Hawaii and I was Zach the Lego Maniac, except they're punching me this time because I was blonde. It haunted me for a while. Into high school, And Zach the Lego Maniac's probably already died from a heroin overdose, yet still I'm haunted by this fucking kid in his aviator glasses and his jean jacket, shirt tucked in, fucking the Lego Master.
Yeah.
So I didn't enjoy Legos again until the Lego movie. Even then, it hurt.
It hurt. Yeah, I mean, that was probably the first medium I guess you could say that I used for like really just me being like creative. And I mean, I used to draw all the time with pencils and stuff, and I really, if you want to go like older, when I knew that like I'm making art, then it would probably be I was either like acrylic paint or pencils, and I think that has informed my art up until this point because I still paint, I still use, I still draw, and I still, and even paint, like even using ink as a medium. I look at it like you kind of have taught me, and like we've talked about before, is you're painting with black and white. Yeah. And look at it like that and layer things. And you have to really, I think what's fun about ink is that you have to decide. Yeah. It is there. When you put a mark down, it is there. It is either black or it is white. And there is no in between. And you can create those. I always
say there's only truth on the page. I say, one of the problems with a lot of like digital painting and digital art, it's all transitional brushstrokes. There's no definitive lines. And to me, no, there's phenomenal styles like that. But when I see younger people doing it, you're just a fucking coward as far as I'm concerned. When you draw it with a line, you know what it is. You know that shape. You know, there's no hiding anything. There's no
Control Z. I mean,
not with inking.
No.
You know?
So, and I think that, I think that there are amazing digital artists out there, and that are artists. I mean, they could paint on a canvas and be just fine.
Yeah.
And but when you see beginners learning to digitally paint, and that's where they start, the problem is there really isn't any consequences. And I think that's kind of one of the issues with beginner digital artists is there isn't a consequence. You can delete that thing within an instant. You can Control Z and it's gone. Your mistake is gone. Well, when you're drawing on a piece of paper, you got to learn to draw what you mean to draw. Otherwise, it's not going to look like anything.
Well, you have to know it.
Yeah.
You can't hide what you don't know.
Exactly.
When it's just black and white.
And I think I would say that that's probably just beginner artists in any medium. They try and hide what they don't know.
Yeah. Well, and hide's a better word, to be honest, because I don't think a lot of people are smart and savvy enough to know I don't want to take shortcuts because I'll learn. Just for the sake of protecting their egos, they will take this path of least resistance for a lot of things. It's just like back in the day when I was a kid, people drew capes on I think even Todd McFarlane said, "Oh, you can't draw feet? Put a cape wrapped around it," or something like that. That hurts me when I know kids heard that.
Yeah.
Because that is not the way to approach things. Learn how to draw feet, and as you've heard me always say, make your weakness your strength.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me recently something along the lines, and I told them Wild Blue Yonder. Why I did Wild Blue Yonder? Because I was scared shitless of drawing vehicles.
Yeah.
Scared shitless. So I did a vehicle-only book.
Yeah.
And now I think I did a decent job, so... and it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
So now, what's the thing I'm scared most of drawing? Anthropomorphic animals. When we were developing that story at Noble, it scared the fuck out of me. How do you draw a rabbit emoting? And before all you people say it's easy, Disney did it. It's not fucking easy.
No, it's not.
Because I have to make it look like mine and still make the construction of these characters work and anthropomorphize them in a way that humans can empathize with them.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem I have with most comic books, not modern, all eras is they're so trite and the styles are so trite. It feels like there's nobody in that character.
Yeah.
It's just empty. Mm-hmm. It's just a drawing.
Like we talked about, if you're using the cookie cutter like faces or whatever, if you draw the same face all the time, then all those people are the same person, and that's just not.
Yeah, it's just an extruder.
Yeah,
they're pod people.
Yeah,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. They're just pod people.
Yeah.
There's nobody in there.
Yeah,
and I get knocked on for being slow, but I guarantee if you read one of my books, those people, I got hate mail when I killed Tuck.
Yeah.
To me, that was a success.
Yeah.
Because people were emotionally attached to Tug.
Definitely.
And not because they'd been with him for a long time. No. Because everybody saw he was an everyman.
Yeah.
You could see yourself being this guy trapped in this situation. That's
Definitely.
why we used him to tell the story, through his eyes, kind of, or his journey. Even though it was Cola's story, it was Tug's story.
Yeah.
It's Tug's vehicle, I guess, would be the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
To expose everybody to Cola.
He was the vehicle for the,
Yeah, he moved us through the story.
Viewer.
Also good for world building, because here's a guy learning about the world along with the readers.
Yeah, definitely.
So, where are we at right now?
Got another question?
I do. Let's get one that's fun here. I gotta cross that one. Mark, I've done 2 of your 3 questions. All 3 of them are good, but I will do your third question at another podcast, man, because it's a good one, and there's I can dovetail into several other things, but Zach's already bored of me, so I better tidy up here a little bit. So, since we're nearing the end, I'm going to get a high-level kind of question here. It said, should we be shifting our strategy from creating creator-owned material to generating fans some other way? Or are we just not good enough yet? Is success directly related to skill? And I think that's, I'm going to do that one first. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Skill is provides opportunity to find success. Yeah. Gives you more opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's not directly related. No. They are completely separate.
Yeah, there are people on like DeviantArt that have millions of page views and they can't draw.
Yeah,
like
I guarantee you, whoever's fucking drawing thunderbolts right now, I could draw circles around, but they make way more money than me. But and probably have way more fans. It's just there's a million different ways to define success.
Yeah, absolutely.
But skill gives you opportunity. Successful opportunities equals success.
Yeah.
So it's not a direct line. There's a lot of variables and what you do with said skill set to find success, and the missing ingredient that you can't control is serendipity. But when you have the skill set and the experience to back it up, it makes you prepared for the serendipity.
Yeah.
So you can cash in on that moment. When the lightning in the bottle moment comes, you have the skill set to capitalize on it. You're not just, oh shit, I should have been a better artist, and watch from the sidelines. So that one, I would say no, but that was easy.
Yeah.
First one, I don't even know if this sentence makes sense, but I think I know what he's saying. Should we be shifting our strategy from creating creator-owned material to generating fans some other way, or are we just not good enough yet? I think what you're saying is when you're low level, and I don't mean that as a person, I mean that in your career and getting into comic books, creator owns are the first thing people do because they can do it, and that's the wonderful thing about comic books.
Yeah.
However, I don't know why somebody would shift away from doing creator owned. If you're only doing creator owned books because you're waiting for somebody to hire you for Wolverine, I can't give you advice on that.
Yeah.
I
think it's important.
Sorry, go.
I just think it's important, like, I understand I'm trying to build an audience, like, as, I don't have a big audience.
You have a good perspective.
And to me, it's like, you have to strike a balance between, like, creating something that's yours and unique and has a lot of skill, like, a lot of practice, skill behind it, and it's all yours. But you also, I think it's important, if you like drawing Batman, draw Batman.
Yeah.
People have drawn. There have been lots of artists who were hired to draw X-Men, Batman, those comic books more. By just doing fan art. Yep. So if you want that career, draw those characters and still learn the fundamentals, but there's nothing wrong with drawing those characters. But if you want to tell your own stories, do that. Yeah. I mean, there's no, like, I don't really think that there's one way to success within art,
Correct.
And there's many forms of success, and it's all up to you in a way that, like, if you are perfectly happy drawing Batman for the rest of your life, then more power to you, man. But I'm not that way. I want to draw my own stories, and I want to be a creator. But yeah, I mean, I just think that if you want to build a fan base, you can't beat the branding that is Batman.
There you go.
You can't beat that. So if you draw Batman, you are going to get people looking at your art. But I will also say this. They're not necessarily looking at your art.
They're looking at the brand.
They're looking at the brand. They're looking at Batman. Oh, that's cool, Batman. Yeah. And they might not be you may get viewers that stay for your art. Yeah. And that is something that is beneficial of drawing fan art. But not everybody who comes to your site and sees that, oh, that's a cool Batman, or the hit or the like that you get is liking your art. They might just be liking Batman.
Yeah. Good point. But to take this just in case he was covering another direction with this, or are we just not good enough yet? The answer is, if nobody's paying attention, correct. You are not good enough yet. Because, and to now tangent from this question to go into the actual direction I wanted to take this was, you have no excuse for not exposing yourself to the world nowadays.
Yeah.
When I started, dude, I fucking went to the copy shop, got copies of all my shitty college artwork, stapled it together, went through phone books and talking to people and going to bookstores, and I found addresses to all these RPG places, and I just sent my artwork off to them in little things. That was stupid. That's caveman stuff. You have the internet now.
Yeah.
You have Instagram, Tumblr, DeviantArt, the forums that editors fucking, they're editors' personal sites.
Yeah.
You know, things like, I mean, if you can't find a way to be successful, that means you're not prepared to be successful. Mm-hmm. Because all the tools are, I mean, the world's open to you now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you're from. And this is what I was telling the Chilean students. No one gives a fuck where you're from anymore.
No.
It's what you can do with that. And are you a likable person? Or are you an unlikable person, but you kick so much ass, it doesn't matter that you're a turd. So it doesn't matter if you're doing creator-owned stuff. My passion. I had a friend that only wanted to draw Batman, and he drew Batman forever. And it made him happy. There's nothing wrong with that. He did an amazing Batman, a job on Batman. And I personally couldn't find joy in that, but he also has 1 billion more fans than me doing it. So there's ups and downs. Also, he has a boss. I ain't got shit for a boss.
Yeah.
You know, bosses can go fuck themselves because they have no bearing in my life. Yeah. I literally do whatever I want every day.
Yeah.
But I'm also not rich. And despite the fact that there's humans that might listen to this, overall, most people don't know me.
Yeah.
You know, I drew a Venom cover and people are like, who's this new artist?
Yeah.
I'm old as fuck, man. You know,
doing this for 16 years.
But to them, I'm new because to them, creator-owned artwork is low level, i.e., not good enough yet.
Yeah.
And drawing Batman or wherever the fuck, Superman, Venom, that's when you're a good artist. And you're never going to get over that. That's just kind of the American comic book industry. No reason to fight it.
Yeah.
So they Akira monster. You can't, when you go up and punch it, you can't fucking do anything to it. So you need to get an orbital laser and fucking clear the site. Nuke the site. I say, okay?
I think that's a good point.
But that's the important thing to remember. Be honest with yourself. I mean, I'm talking honest. Dig deep.
Yeah.
Strip your ego away and ask yourself, this is Alan Watts, if money were no object, what would you do with your time?
Yeah.
And most people be like, oh, I'd like to be a nurse. No, not what you'd like to be. If money were no object, what would you start doing right now?
Yeah.
And most people will find a passion. I want to be a writer. I want to be this. I want to draw Batman. I want to draw my own comic books.
Definitely.
If you've seen somebody do it, you are a human being and you can do it too.
Yeah.
Most likely. There are limitations for everybody. I'm never going to fly through the fucking air like Jordan and dunk with my tongue out with my nuts in some fucking 7-foot player's face.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. You got to still live in reality.
Definitely.
But those are rare things in life.
Yeah.
If you see somebody drawing Batman, you too can draw Batman. You just got to work it. There's a path to it. There's just no entry-level position, and that's where people get...
It's a concept, I think, it's called the long game.
Yeah.
And it's basically that, like, Tiger Woods played the long game. You may think that he was successful when he was 20, but he had been golfing since he was, like, 3. So he played that long game. He put in those hours, those 10,000 hours to become a master or whatever at it. And that's for everybody. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci was too ambitious on his first commission, and he got fired.
Yeah.
And all he could get were jobs drawing dead people. And guess what? It was 20 years before he got his next commission.
Yeah.
And so he was drawing and drawing and drawing in that time span, and then he's a master. And people don't realize, like, in today's culture of, like, I want it now, I want to be this now, you need to play the long game. You gotta, if you want to be an artist, you have to draw every day. And you have to, I mean, you have to.
I got a tangent here before we get too far. Or not tangent, I got to circle back. This is a known fact. You check it out. Do you know what Tiger Woods said to the Hooters waitress to pick her up?
No.
Do you want to see my long game?
That's a good
one. He played the long game.
He played the long game. That's hilarious. But anyways,
He probably has a corkscrew penis.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's just so famous. But anyways, but I do think that it's important to, and I'm not saying that I don't draw every day. Nobody's perfect. Not every artist draws every single day. But if you want to be a professional artist, it's a great place to start.
You better find time. I had a buddy that I hadn't spoken to since we're like 18 or so. His daughter now is like, looking towards college, and he wrote me to tell her that he told her what I told him in high school, and I don't know who I stole this from, so apologies to whoever came. I always said I'm going to draw 1 hour a day. Yeah. And after football practice, I would draw. After weekends, I would draw. If I was sick that day, I drew all fucking day. Yeah. And consistency breeds excellence. Yeah. And there you go. Make it to the point where it's not effort, or at least the drawing part isn't. Yeah. So definitely long game. Hooters waitress. So I think that's the answers to that question. Yeah. In that order. Yep. That's in that order. I think I have one more question. Sir. We'll close it up. But cool. This one comes from Jared. How did you know you wanted to pursue art for a living? I would have to say from the moment I can remember. So when I was 3 or 4, I was watching Batman the Animated Series, and I remember getting my first comic books and reading comic books, and I remember looking at art, and I also remember drawing with crayons, and me and my sister were sitting there drawing next to each other, and my parents were impressed that my sister just had stick figures, and I had drawn like a square for boy clothing and a triangle for girl clothing. That's just how my brain works. It's how, and when I got into middle school, thus your passion for bathroom door art. Exactly. That's what I've made my career on, is bathroom door art. But anyways, when I was when I started in middle school, when I started to be able to choose what classes I wanted to take, my dad really encouraged me to take art classes, and him and my mom have always encouraged me to be an artist and follow that muse or whatever, because I enjoyed it and I'm very passionate about it. And I think that and there were lots of different things. I wanted to be a scientist when I was like 5, and just a scientist. Yeah. My vision of a scientist was I had a long like pointer that I pointed at a chalkboard, and it had some nonsensical stuff on it. I thought you were gonna turn a coconut into a radio or something. Exactly. Like on Gilligan's. I think that was. That's a hell of a scientist he had. Yeah. On that island. But I think really couldn't build a boat, but he could build a fucking radio. Yeah, it doesn't out of make a coconut. Any sense. Yeah, how do you make a radio out of coconut and you can't build a boat? Anyway. Yeah. But anyways, I think that in high school, it was really when I started to go, okay, people do this for a living. And it was really when I started to look at art books for movies and video games and stuff, where I was like, someone's hired to paint this concept art or whatever and visualize these things that happen on the movie screen or happen in the video game or whatever. And I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. So I'm going to start, trying to do that. And so I guess probably in high school, I knew I wanted to pursue it. And I've always kind of had the attitude of, if I wanted to be a successful artist, I'd have to look at myself and kind of my art as sort of a business, without trying not to lose that creativity, but still, I want to make money off of my art. That's how I'm gonna, in this world. Pretty fucking integral. You have to make money. So I don't think most kids are trust fund kids. So. Yeah, exactly. So I have bills and stuff. So it's like I need to make money on my art. So in order to do that, there's a pretty cut and dry path of this is what you need to learn in order to make money on your art. Unless you want to be the 1% of the fine artists that just paint a bright green canvas or whatever that's in the Contemporary Art Museum in Denver, and they're Did you see the article where somebody put a pair of glasses on the floor? I did. That was hilarious. Where was that? That was at the Metropolitan. Yeah, some kid put his glasses on the floor. People are taking pictures of it. Humans, fuck you. Fuck you, humans. Come on, Jesus Christ. There's a limit here. No, but I just think that
there are people that apparently are successful at that. And I mean, you go to the Contemporary Art Museum in Denver and you'll see lots of examples of it. Some of it's good, some of it's fun, but it's really hard to be a quote unquote fine artist or whatever without.
The only professional fine artist that I'm friends with, good friends, is Nick Runge, and he had to eat shit burgers for the first 10 years of his career, drawing Angel and fucking Badger and doing covers for my dumbass, Wild Blue Yonder, and all he wanted to do was paint. Yeah. But now he's transitioning into it. Took a little testicular fortitude, but it took a lot of fucking earning his place and refining his skill set. Definitely. He didn't just start one day, I'm going to be a master painter. He works like a demon. Yep. So
you have to kind of take,
but
be
again,
humble, but
he's the only friend of mine that is a true pure fine artist.
Yeah. That just paints.
That can do that.
Yeah.
I know of others. I've shook hands with others, but it's the only one I've ever seen a person progress from no one to fine arts. Yeah. And it was a long, hard journey, and I think it's so fucking rare. Yeah. It takes a special breed.
Definitely.
Super, super special breed.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's not easy. And
you may not ever be able to develop the skill set. Again, serendipity comes into question. Yeah. And you want to talk serendipity, fine arts world is super dependent on it.
It's like winning the lottery. I would be thrilled if someone wanted to pay me $1 million for a painting. Yeah. But that's not. I can't just expect that. Like I have to go. Okay, well I can do this for $100. I can do that for $200. There you go. Then eventually I make my bills. So
make money while you get better. Yeah. But you gotta force yourself to get better. Don't get comfortable. There you go. Yeah. Get comfortable. You can't reach that pinnacle.
So. Yeah, to answer that question, I guess it was probably high school when I decided I wanted to pursue art for a living, and because I really started my senior year, I really started getting serious about, okay, how do I improve? How do I make my art look like these guys? Yeah. What do I need to learn? Anatomy, all that kind of stuff, and then it took me like a couple of years into college, and my senior, I took lots of life drawing in college. Like I think it was like a year and a half, I think, of life drawing, and even coming out of college, I wasn't prepared right away to be a professional artist. I had to really sit down and, just start drawing and drawing and drawing and draw a face every day and draw, learn perspective and all that kind of
self-taught
stuff.
Self-taught perspective.
Yeah, self-taught.
You impressed the fuck out of me.
Well, you're self-taught too, so.
Well, I learned a few things in college, but it was mostly for sculpture. Yeah. But I did take some drawing classes, just a handful. We're going to wrap it up this week. 2 things. Fuck Zach the Lego Maniac, wherever you are. I hope you're on fire. Second, I got a question for Mr. Britton over here. Okay. If Jack helped you off the horse, would you help Jack off the horse?
Yes, because my grandfather's name is Jack and my dad's name is Jack.
Yes, okay.
So I would definitely help them off the horse if they helped me off the horse. Because I figured it'd probably be one of those, because they're like the only 2 Jacks I know. So
okay. That's actually the best and most disappointing answer I've ever gotten to that question.
Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Everybody, go suck a dick.
All right.
We're out of here. See you next week.
Bye.